everything changed in a matter of seconds. I mean, think about it. A proud city, a legendary stadium, and a legacy that literally took decades to build, all brought entirely to a sudden, absolute standstill. Look, we're talking about a franchise that has operated with almost unheard of stability for nearly a century, suddenly thrust into an era of brutal ultimatums and completely uncompromising decisions. This isn't just about football anymore. No, this is about survival. Welcome to NFL Nexus. In this explainer, we're going to break down one of the most high-stakes power struggles in modern sports history. So, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like this explainer, and consider becoming a channel member to support deep dives exactly like this one. All right, let's dive in. To truly understand the sheer gravity of this moment, we have to look back at the collapse. We're talking about a brutal 24-point home playoff slaughter that abruptly ended the 2025 season. And you have to understand, it wasn't just a loss, it was an organizational earthquake. The kind of completely humiliating defeat that shatters decades of patience and literally forces legends to walk away. Mike Tomlin, the steady hand of Pittsburgh for nearly 2 decades, stepped down in the immediate aftermath. The drought since their last playoff win back in 2016 had simply become way too heavy to bear. Now, well, the dust is settled, but the air in that building is thinner. The margin for error, it is completely gone. So the fundamental question hanging over the Steel City right now is this. What happens when an organization that historically preaches patience decides that time is officially up? Section 1. Internal friction, the mandate for change.
Okay, I really want you to listen to this sheer, unfiltered frustration from insider Ray Fittipaldo. Quote, "I don't think the front office was happy." In the incredibly guarded, highly secretive world of NFL front offices, a leak like this, it's a siren blaring. The decision makers in Pittsburgh cut a massive check to Pat Freiermuth 2 off-seasons ago. And then, under the previous regime, they just sat there and watched him become a complete afterthought in the passing attack. They watched a massive financial investment literally collect dust on the sideline. Well, that era of passive usage is dead. Mike McCarthy has been brought in to manage this team with an absolute mandate. The front office is fundamentally exhausted from paying for potential that they never actually see materialize on the turf. The internal friction has reached a total boiling point. The McCarthy staff is under strict, undeniable orders. You will use the players we paid for, and you will make it work. No excuses.
And here is exactly where the tension becomes a totally suffocating tactical problem. On one side, you have Darnell Washington, a terrifying, hulking presence with a rare blend of size and athleticism that creates absolute nightmares for opposing secondaries. I mean, in 2026, he was handed a massive contract after a truly spectacular breakout in 2025. He is a walking mismatch. But then you also have Pat Freiermuth, the financial anchor from 2 years prior, carrying the weight of a furious front office demanding he get his targets. So how does Mike McCarthy satisfy a front office demanding touches for Freiermuth while simultaneously feeding the absolutely unstoppable force that Washington has become? It's like trying to feed 2 giant sharks with 1 piece of bait. Well, the answer from the front office was absolutely ruthless. They initiated a purge. The crowded tight end room of 2025 was systematically dismantled. Jonnu Smith? Gone. Despite all the preseason hype, his critical metrics were among the worst in football. Connor Hayward? Departed. The front office cleared the deck entirely. They eliminated every single excuse McCarthy could possibly have. There was literally no one else to throw to in that room. It is a terrifyingly clear message from the top down. We removed the clutter. Now you must unleash Washington and force-feed Freiermuth. The expectation isn't just a little bit of improvement. It is total, immediate dominance. Section 2. The heir apparent. Finding the next Big Ben. Now, as intense as the tight end situation is, honestly, it pales in comparison to the ultimate pressure cooker, because the true battle for the soul of this franchise isn't happening on the line of scrimmage. It's happening in the quarterback room. A historic franchise is desperately hunting for the ghost of its past, searching for the next legendary signal caller who can carry the sheer weight of 6 Lombardi trophies. Just listen to those words from Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis. When a legend of that magnitude speaks, the entire city listens. And he is already placing the heavy, suffocating expectations of Ben Roethlisberger squarely onto the shoulders of a rookie. He's got that size. He's got a big arm. Bettis is looking at this kid and seeing the echo of a dynasty. It is an almost unfair amount of pressure to place on a young man who hasn't even taken a single professional snap. But in this city, fairness doesn't matter. Only greatness does. So let's break down the subject of that immense pressure. Drew Aller. Selected 76th overall in the third round of the 2026 NFL Draft. He carries the local lineage from Penn State, which, instantly endears him to the fan base, but it also turns up the spotlight to a blinding, relentless intensity. Physically, the kid is a giant, a 6'4" to 6'5" frame, supreme arm talent capable of making absolutely every single throw required in the modern NFL. But he is raw. He is a massive block of clay. This first year cannot be about throwing him out to the wolves. It has to be purely developmental. He must silently absorb the game in the shadows of a legend. And thankfully, Aller's rookie season comes with a wildly unique advantage, a Hall of Fame apprenticeship. He isn't just sitting in meetings learning a playbook. He is learning how to be a professional from Aaron Rodgers. Jerome Bettis made it perfectly clear. When you have a player of Rodgers' sheer stature in the building, you soak up absolutely everything you can. It's a rare, fleeting window. The things Aller learns this season, the pre-snap reads, the hyper-specific mechanical adjustments, the quiet, unseen moments of preparation, those things will forever alter the trajectory of his entire career.
Section 3. The quarterback math. 4 men, 3 spots.
But here is where the narrative takes a really dark, unforgiving turn. While Aller learns and Rodgers leads, a completely mathematical nightmare is unfolding on the practice field. The front office has created a situation where the numbers simply do not add up. In just 2 years, they feverishly built an overcrowded, totally unsustainable room. Look at the timeline. In the 2025 draft, they took a swing on upside, selecting Will Howard in the 6th round. Then, the timeline accelerated violently. In the 2026 offseason, they signed Aaron Rodgers to chase a ring right now. And just months later, they drafted Drew Aller in the 3rd round as the undisputed future. They kept adding and adding and adding without ever subtracting. They have literally constructed a ticking time bomb for training camp. This table right here, this is the brutal, cold reality of NFL roster management. Aaron Rodgers is the 42-year-old starter. His spot is locked. Drew Aller is the 3rd-round investment and the future of the franchise. His spot is locked. That leaves exactly 2 men, Mason Rudolph, the proven veteran safety net, and Will Howard, the raw, high-upside project from just a year ago, fighting for their professional lives. Because both Rodgers and Aller are completely untouchable, a devastating war of attrition is about to claim either Rudolph or Howard. There is no middle ground here. One stays, one goes. The loser could fall off the 53-man roster entirely. Just let that sink in for a second. This insight from Mike DeFabo of The Athletic completely cements the sheer terror of this competition. We aren't talking about who gets a few more reps in a meaningless preseason game. We aren't talking about pride or where your name sits on a depth chart. This is a battle for NFL survival. The loser of this quiet daily war in the film room and on the practice field will likely be packing their bags, their dream put on life support. Section 4. Safety versus upside. The ultimate decision. Which brings us to the massive philosophical war currently tearing the front office apart. It's a question that every great dynasty must eventually answer when the clock is ticking. Do you play it completely safe to guarantee one final desperate Super Bowl run? Or do you gamble on youth and the tantalizing promise of what could be? Let's totally dissect this clash of ideologies. On the left, you have Mason Rudolph. He isn't flashy, sure, but he understands the crushing pressure of playing in Pittsburgh. He has started really meaningful games. If disaster strikes, he can step in, run the offense, and keep the ship from sinking. He represents immediate, tangible security. Conversely, you have Will Howard, representing untapped youth. He's a 2025 draft investment with a massive ceiling. Keeping Rudolph means you survive the short term, but it requires the absolute tragedy of abandoning Howard's potential before it ever even has a chance to bloom. 42. That is the age of Aaron Rodgers heading into this season. At 42 years old in the National Football League, the shadow of injury doesn't just loom, it hovers over every single dropback, every single hit. The physical reality of a 42-year-old body taking NFL-level collisions makes having a battle-tested backup not just a luxury, but literally a matter of life and death for the season. If Rodgers goes down in Week 14, who do you actually trust to win a playoff game? That number right there, 42, is the absolute strongest argument Mason Rudolph has. But then there is the nightmare scenario, the one that keeps general managers awake staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. If you cut Will Howard after just one single year, you close the door forever. And the ultimate fear is this. You release him, he clears the building, and another franchise, maybe even a fierce rival, scoops him up. They take his rare size, his developmental traits, and they actually nurture him into a star. You are forced to just sit there and watch the player you drafted, the player you gave up on for a short-term safety net, thrive somewhere else. It is a completely terrifying prospect for any front office. So, Facing this totally impossible choice, we arrive at a desperate question. Can they just cheat the system? Can the Steelers simply keep all 4 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster and delay the pain? I mean, it sounds like a really creative solution, right? Keep Rudolph's experience, keep Howard's upside, hold on to Aller's future, and ride with Rodgers' present. But, as we all know, the NFL is a zero-sum game. Let me detail the absolutely agonizing roster math for you right now. If you carry a luxury 4th quarterback, you have to pay the toll somewhere else on the roster. You are forced to sacrifice a wide receiver who could make a crucial special teams tackle. Or you expose a talented young defensive back to the waiver wire. Maybe you cut a rotational defensive lineman, totally weakening your trench warfare. Or you let go of a linebacker, destroying your depth. Keeping 4 quarterbacks means intentionally creating a fatal wound on your defense or your receiving core. It is a mathematical impossibility for a team built to win a Super Bowl right now. Section 5. Squeezed out. The final roster countdown. Look, this isn't just about a backup quarterback anymore. This microscopic roster decision, this battle happening at the very bottom of the depth chart, represents the entire soul of the franchise. It is a direct reflection of exactly who they are right now and what they are actually willing to sacrifice to reclaim their glory. This operates like a slowly tightening vice. First, Mike McCarthy must absolutely maximize the present with Rodgers. Second, he wants to ensure immediate safety with Rudolph just in case disaster strikes. Third, the front office is desperate to protect their recent investment in Howard. And fourth, they must nurture the next era in Aller. You cannot do all 4. It is a literal impossible balancing act. The walls are closing in, and every single priority completely contradicts the other. Someone in that room is going to be squeezed out. You can hear the coaches talk about competition to the media all training camp. You can watch all the pleasantries and the fist bumps during warm-ups on the sidelines, but make absolutely no mistake, all of that, it's just a delay tactic. It is a total smokescreen for an inevitable, incredibly painful goodbye. The math strictly dictates that a career is about to be violently interrupted. So I leave you with this massive, franchise-defining question. When the clock runs out and that final roster cut is made in the dark hours of the night, will the Steelers choose the safety of today, or will they gamble on the promise of tomorrow? The clock is absolutely ticking in Pittsburgh. What do you guys think they should do? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining this explainer on NFL Nexus. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and become a channel member to support the deep dives. We'll see you next time.